Welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanelle Nielsen, and tonight is super fun for me. I'm joined by Maria Proudfoot. Maria, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to talk with you. So Maria and I go way back. We were roommates in college in 1997, just to throw that out there.
A little ways ago.
Yeah, a while ago. And I thought we recently got together with the two of us and our other friends, Bridget and Catherine, that roomed with us. And we had such a good time getting together. And as I was thinking about the topic for the show, I was thinking about who I wanted to do this podcast with. And I thought of Maria because, and I haven't told her this yet, but the reason that I thought of her was because, first of all, she's a friend from a different time of life. We were friends before we had kids, before we were married, and everything, was very different in the friendship world back then, for sure. Yeah. And the other reason that I thought to do this podcast with Maria is because we have a lot of things in common, like values and things like that. But personalities, we have some differences. Like Maria is so much fun. Oh my goodness. She's just the least self-conscious person you've ever met. She will dance in public. But things that might be embarrassing to other people are not embarrassing to you. So
just those around me.
Yep. So she'll dress up in costumes. She'll do all kinds of fun stuff. And I tend to be a little bit more self-conscious. So I thought that this would be fun to have us with our different personalities and kind of talk about what we're going to talk about, which is friendship and mom friends specifically. So to start off, Maria, tell us a little bit about your experiences and kind of how it's been for you making mom friends.
Okay. Well, so when we first got married, I worked for 6 years down in Houston, Texas. And so that was all before I had kids. And so I had coworkers instead. So it was like you're kind of given this little circle of people, like, these are your friends. And that's who I hung out with, every day, and who I had lunch with. And so anyway, we moved from Houston to Idaho just a month before I had my first baby. And so anyway, after she was born, so we were in a new place. And after she was born, I started staying home. And so anyway, it was kind of a weird situation because it was almost like a little identity crisis because I'd been working for so long and I kind of attached a bit of my identity to that. And then suddenly I was a mom at home. I was just one of the other stay-at-home moms, and that nobody knew anything other than that of me.
Right.
And because I wasn't working, I didn't have this automatic group of friends. Like, here's the people that you're going to spend all day with. Like, You're on your own. You have to go figure it out yourself.
Go to it. Yeah. I think that's kind of everybody, because for me, so I didn't work, but I went from college to, it was a month or 2 months after I graduated college to being a stay-at-home mom. And so whenever that transition happens, I think it's a huge transition because, like you said, you have kind of a ready-made group of friends. And that's, you said at work, but I think you can go back at college, same thing.
Oh, totally.
Here's your roommates and these are your friends. In high school, here's your class. Those are your friends. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You're kind of not told who your friends are, but you have a smaller pool and it's, you better work things out with these people. They're your friends.
Right. Here they are. You're surrounded by them.
Yep.
Make it work.
Yep, exactly. So how did you get over that? So you moved to this new place and then you're home with a baby and trying to figure all that out. And then you're kind of alone.
Yeah. Well, so this is kind of a failed story. But when I was at the doctor, at the hospital, they gave us this little brochure for this meeting group for new moms. And so I remember I was so excited. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this and I'm going to meet some new moms and it's going to be awesome. So I got me and Kenley, the baby, ready, which is kind of a big deal.
Totally. It is, especially with your first.
Out of your pajamas.
Yeah.
So we're already, and anyway, I had this grand idea that I could probably wear my wedding ring again, that I was skinny enough. I wasn't. And anyway, it was a nightmare. My finger totally swelled up. And long story short, I spent that morning at the fire station getting my ring cut off instead of making new friends.
Oh.
So that was my first attempt.
Okay. So no, like firefighter moms were there to.
No, just a bunch of firemen.
Okay. Not exactly
any great friendship.
Right. Okay.
But, so anyway, that was the big failure. But so after that, I'm trying to think like chronologically how things went. I know that my husband and I, because we'd had a pretty good group of friends there in Houston as well. And at the time, when we first moved here, we lived with my parents for a short while. And so it was just, they were our friends, but it was also a little awkward. Like, I think other people don't know what to do with you when you're
living with parents. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, can we invite you over, or do we have to invite your parents too?
Yeah. And then they're like, well, if we invite them over, they can't invite us back over because, we don't want to go to their parents' house. Yeah, I can see.
Right.
That'd be a little awkward.
Yeah. So that was a little weird. But anyway, so we had to really make an effort. Like and at the time, our best source was just couples like at church that we would see. Like if Mike pointed out anyone that he kind of enjoyed hanging out with, I'm like, on it. Okay, I'll invite him over. So I always tell him, I'm like, you pick who you want to hang out with and I'll be friends with their wife.
That's awesome. Well, that is such a good point, though, because you're dealing with your husband's preferences too. Right. And if you want to have these couple friends, if you want to have friends, if you can get along with the wife all day, but then if you try to get the families together and the husbands don't mesh, it just doesn't work.
Right. Right. And yeah, as kids get older, then it's kids too.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, we just got to where we were inviting friends over for dinner quite a bit and barbecues, just trying to figure it out. And it took a while, but we finally got an invite back.
That is exactly what I was going to ask you, because we did that so hard. James and I would try so hard to like invite people over and get up a friendship. And I swear it's like 20 invites before anyone thought to invite us back. And we're like, yes, we'll come. Yeah, you want to be friends? Let's do
it. Yay. Totally.
Yeah.
So then we did. Yeah, we ended up with a family with the kids around our kids' age that we ended up having a lot of fun with. And we'd invited, we went out of town a couple times together and stuff. So that was fun. But then one thing, well, I don't know proper order of things here, but when my daughter got a little bit older, then I could sign her up for a few things, you know?
Yeah.
And so one great resource that I think most towns would have is a library that has like their children's story times. And I don't know, does your library do that?
Yeah. Oh, we have a great library program.
Okay. That's like a nationwide thing, right? That they have.
I think so.
Story times and music times. And so I started going to that. And, anyway, you'd see these moms, and I think it's tricky making that change from just saying hi to actually let's hang out.
It really is. It's like this big hurdle. Like I'm really interested to hear how you've crossed that hurdle, because I actually struggle with that still. I've got a lot of friends through church, but then I have a lot of acquaintances through the school that we are like that. You know, we just say hi, but we would never hang out. So how did you get beyond that? Yeah.
Well, one thing that has helped me is kind of finding a neutral ground, easy invite. Like, say like, hey, we're going to the park after story time if you want to come.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. So it's not as awkward as like, let's be friends. Can I have your number? Or why don't you come to my house? And I promise we're not creepy. Kind of a thing. It's like this neutral ground of, hey, we're just doing this super casual if you want to come. So I found that helps. Or even, we're going to get lunch after this.
Right.
There's a playland if you want to come.
I think that's a really good idea, because part of the my other struggle with friends is I'm always worried that things are going to be awkward. Like
Yes.
I had a friend say to me, she was struggling with making friends, and she
Uh-huh.
asked me, she's like a neighbor friend, and she said, how do you get to the point where you just hang out with friends? And I've thought about that question a lot because I thought, I'm not really a hangout kind of friend. I don't
Uh-huh.
have generally, people don't come to my house and just hang out. I like to go places. And so I like that you're saying that because that is much more natural for me and much more doable. Hey, let's go to the
Right.
park. Sure. I love to have another mom to talk to at the park because otherwise, after 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, done swinging. Let's go.
I've looked at all my Facebook feeds.
Yep, time to go. Mom's done. But yeah, I can stay there for an hour or more if I've got a friend to talk to. So that is fun because you're not sitting staring at each other like I feel like you would be at home.
Right.
Or you're like,
totally.
I could be doing laundry right now instead of staring at you, but you're at the park. And so, yeah, I think that takes a little pressure off.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry about if your house is clean.
That too. Definitely.
How you're sitting on the couch and folding your arms.
Oh my gosh. Do you think about that? You surprise me. See, I thought that was something like, oh, Maria doesn't even worry about that kind of stuff.
No, it's like what you said, when you're both just sitting there, like staring at each other, then it's, yeah.
Awkward. Then oh my gosh, I totally do that. Okay, you want to know how far I go. So first I'm like, oh, where are my hands? And then I'm like, wait, should I be looking at her while she's talking or she's looking at me? We're making eye contact too long. This is getting awkward. Wait, am I blinking too much? Like, oh my gosh. And then I start sweating. Yeah, it's just this whole bad thing. Let's just go to the park, for crying out loud.
Totally. Oh my gosh, so much easier. And then
So
you're
much
dealing
easier.
with kids in the midst of it. So
yes,
it kind of breaks something. There's no time for awkward at the park.
That is so true. Okay. The park is definitely the way to go. I like it.
So I think that's a good starter.
Yeah.
You know? And then it could even become tradition. And then as you do it a few times, then I don't know, you get a feel for if you want to hang out more than just that or.
Right. Then you start having these conversations and you see if this is going to work out and you want to kind of go to the next friendship level.
Right. Oh my gosh. I read an article a while back about how making mom friends is like dating.
It is.
And it totally like how you were saying, if it's going to work out.
But it's so true.
Oh, totally. And you were roommates with me when I was single. You know how bad I am at dating.
I don't remember your dating. If you want to talk about that on the podcast, we can do a new topic.
A whole different subject. No, but like that awkwardness of like getting their number.
Yes.
Are they going to be like, oh, I don't really want to hang out with you? Or
yeah,
how quickly do you text when you get the number? Like it's all the same stuff as when
that
you're
is so true.
Back in dating.
Yeah. One thing that I've found that's really hard is when people want to be more friendly than I do. Like they want to be a deeper level of friends. Like they want to be best friends. And for me, that's another struggle of the mom friend thing because my best friend is my husband, and that might be cliche and whatever, but it's true. If he's home, then pretty much I want to hang out with him. I mean, not to say I never go out with friends. I do. But some friends are like, oh, the husbands are home. Let's go out. Or it's Friday night. Let's go out. And I'm like, well, it's Friday night. It's date night. So not to say that can never happen. Of course, different people are looking for different things, but some people are over above and beyond what I'm looking for in a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
that's probably me in all the relationships. Just kidding.
Are you though?
No, but it's true. I mean, because some people, it's kind of like what you need is your release. Do you need to go out with the girls, or do you need to go out with your husband, or do you need to stay home and watch Netflix?
Right.
And even me personally, I need all those things at different times.
Yeah. And I think we all do. I think that you need to find. And so one of the things you're looking for in a friend is someone who has about that same ratio as you do,
Correct.
So they want to go out about as often as you do so that it works out.
True.
Yes.
And I guess it's like dating too. You say no enough times and they get the hint.
Exactly. And they're like, okay.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Move on.
So, okay, tell me one thing that I know. Let's go back to that first little bit. You said, once Kenley got older and you could start going to library programs and stuff, then there was a place for you to meet moms. When you were at home with a little one, I just remember those days were really hard. Did you find anything that worked before your kids got into activities?
Well, like I said, that was kind of when I was focusing a little more on couple friends, of finding
Okay, gotcha.
people for Mike and I to hang out with. It was somewhere during that time frame that a friend invited me, and it wasn't even like a good friend, just an acquaintance. She's like, hey, some of us girls are in a book club. And I honestly wasn't all that interested, but I hadn't had a lot of social interaction. So I'm like, I'll just go.
Right.
Like, I've wanted social interaction, so I guess I'll just go. And I went and I was like, I don't know, it's not for me. But they're like, once you come, you can't get out of it. And
you didn't join a book club, you joined like a gang or something.
You signed in blood.
Yep.
But anyway, I have never been like the best member of the book club. I come like maybe 4 or 5 times a year, but it has been interesting. There have been, like, the original girl that invited me doesn't even do it anymore, but there have been different little friendships that have sparked through that.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting. Like, one of the girls I've become good friends with through that. It's like we were both invited through different means, and we didn't necessarily get to know each other right away, but then, and I don't even know how it happened. I think we were discussing some of the issues with our daughters and started realizing they're kind of the same. So we're like, we should get them together. And through that, the two of us have become good friends outside of the book club.
Right. Well, that's so cool, because what I hear you saying, okay, so we talked about, when you are younger and you have these groups and then these friendships kind of happen organically. And I think a lot of the struggle comes in with mom friends because you are pursuing a friendship, like we said about dating. So you're going on the hunt, and it makes it so there's so many more difficult things. But if you can get in a situation like the library or your kids' sports or a book club where it can happen organically, then you can relax enough to let these friendships kind of happen. Or even, like you said, with you and your husband, like at church, to kind of let him pick out a friend, and then you kind of slowly work on it. I mean, you're in this group and then you go a little bit deeper with the friendship. So if you can get yourself in some kind of thing and not be in such a hurry, like let it happen organically from that group, then things will start to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, putting yourself in a place where you are around other people and where you can have conversations that maybe just you find out, this is someone that we have something in common.
Totally. And I think that's really the key, is it being in a place where you can really talk, because I know that's part of the struggle is, you're seeing a lot of people and talking to a lot of people, and you're just saying, hi, how's your kid? How do you like school? Just really surface conversation. But that's kind of the beauty of something like book club or going and chatting at the park, or what I like to do. I always go walking with a friend. And that way, we're walking for like an hour and we're really able to talk about things that matter. And I've found it doesn't even, pretty much most people, once you start talking, you start to make that connection. And it's not going to be everyone, but if I like someone enough to want to go on a walk with them, then usually when we end up walking, then, that's how most of my friendships grow, is because we're able to get deeper and talk about things that interest us and go beyond just that surface level.
Yeah. And I think that's such a perfect thing too, because who of us new moms aren't interested in a low-key form of exercise?
Right. Where
like,
you can bring your kids in a stroller if you need to, and make it all work.
Getting exercise and visit, and I think that is a perfect way. And like you said, conversations just happen naturally while you're out there.
Yeah.
getting exercise together. And I think that is a little bit easier of a one to invite someone to do because of that same thing. Like, I don't know, you get talking about your mom belly or whatever you start talking about with a friend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we should walk together.
Exactly. Yeah. And then like, oh, yeah, we'll go and do this. And then it works. And that's my regular routine is to usually I'm at home a lot with the baby, and then in the afternoons, I'm running around doing, kid carpool and stuff. But usually in the morning, I exercise, and that's usually my friend time too. So I get to kind of combine that. So, okay.
So perfect.
I want to talk about hurt feelings a little bit. For me, that's been another struggle of the mom friendship thing. And I don't know. I guess for me, it's been trying to be really clear on what I want in friendships, because like I was saying earlier, some people want, a friend that they can call up all the time. But sometimes I struggle with, other people like saying, oh, I went out with so-and-so and we went and did this. And I feel like that happens a lot. Do you run into that at all?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've even thought, me and my neighbor are really good friends, but I've thought I kind of like we have a perfect amount of friendship where if I see a car over there that she's hanging out with someone else, it doesn't hurt my feelings and vice versa.
That's so good. Yeah.
But I think that's tricky because it's like, yeah, somehow we're at that right level of friendship where that works. But I'm familiar with that too, where it's more of a best friend. And then when you hear of things like that, it is. Yeah, I think that's a tricky one. And I do find myself kind of guarding myself from getting to that level sometimes. Because I do like the easiness of friends, but not extreme expectations.
Yeah, you guys aren't exclusive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we're going back to my dating days.
Yes, exactly.
I never liked having a boyfriend because then I couldn't hang out with other people.
But that's exactly it. So I think part of it is not being offended. And then part of it is, somehow keeping the friendship lines open to say like, hey, you're my friend and you're still my friend, even if I go somewhere with someone else. And a part of that comes from a level of security. But I think we can all get our feelings hurt when we see, a big party on Facebook that like,
for sure,
what? I wasn't invited to that. So that's, I guess, just human nature.
Yeah, that's a hard one to avoid, isn't it?
It totally is. Yeah. I thought you might have some magic tricks up your sleeve for how to avoid that.
The only thing I would say is just for me, and this isn't going to work for everyone, but for me, it is just having a variation of friends where it's like my end all be all isn't dependent upon that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
If these two friends go out without me, I don't know. If I feel myself getting those feelings, I just hate feeling that way. So as soon as I feel it, I kind of have to just make myself be like, oh, well,
yeah,
we're still friends. And it's not worth losing the friendship over.
Exactly.
Is kind of what I've had to think sometimes. So like, well, oh, well, I don't want to not be friends with them because of it. So.
Right. And I think that's really good if we can learn that as moms too, so that we can pass that on to our kids when they, see other friends out together. They're still your friend. Just because, they did something with someone else doesn't mean they're not your friend. So we've got to learn it ourselves so we can teach it to our kids.
Right. And I think reminding ourselves that, well, I went and did this with so-and-so. Because I think it can get exhausting when you feel like you have to invite for like a birthday lunch or my baby showers or whatever, like it really stresses me out coming up with an invite list because I don't want anyone to feel left out. But then I feel kind of stupid handing the host a list, like
right, really, really long.
Like,
yeah,
I really want a lot of presents, where really I just don't want to leave anyone out. But
yes.
So I don't know. I think part of it is just recognizing that, like the times I've done things and I didn't invite everyone, or I only went with one friend, or.
Yes. No, that's a good reminder because It's important not to be too sensitive and to, have that self-reflection. Like, okay, we all feel like that sometimes, and that's okay. And if I want to hang out with her more, then I'll just be sure to invite her next time or whatever the case may be. So
that's a hard one.
Totally. We are about out of time. Any last thoughts as you've navigated this mom friendship thing?
Well, one thing that I've found, I don't know, I think that just in life in general, we have to play to our strengths and finding what we have to offer. Because I know when Kenley was just in gymnastics, she did this like little toddler gymnastics, and I kept trying to figure out how I could get these people I'm chatting with every single week and laughing with and stuff, how you overcome that barrier of like, let's do something else. And for me, kind of the thing, I that I'm into horses. Yeah. That's my thing. And so I kind of was like, okay, that's my one thing that I kind of have to offer. And so one week I just said, hey, next week I'm going to take kids horse ride. Like, I'm going to do horse rides at my house if any of your kids want to come. And that was kind of my thing that took me over that barrier of getting phone numbers and hanging out outside of class, And that's a very specific example, but I've kind of used things like that throughout. I've used the horse thing a lot, but we all have our own thing, whether it's cooking or art or just our thing that we can kind of offer.
Right.
To kind of break that ice and be like, hey, I found this craft online. I'm going to do it with my kid. Do you want to do it? Which I hate crafts, but if someone else offered up to do it with the kids, that would like be heaven to me. Like, oh, you're going to organize that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just kind of figuring out, and I don't know, but maybe that's a topic for another day of figuring out what you bring to the table. But
no, I think that's a great thought to end on, is that, you do have something to offer in each friendship. And when you put that out there, then people not only get a chance to, take that next step and become better friends with you, but they also get to know you better and see, you in your element, see you with your horses, or, see any of us doing those things that we love. And so that deepens that connection in a whole different way. So I love that. I think that that's a great thought that people can put into action. So if they are struggling, to take it first, to get into that group, like we talked about, to go out there in places where you can meet people. And then when you're ready to bring it to that next level, to let yourself, let your personality show. And so I think that's really good. I love it. It's so good.
Oh, thanks.
That's good. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. It's fun to talk with a friend about being friends and all our friend challenges over the years. So thanks again. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time on Moms Who Know. Subscribe to Moms Who Know so you never miss an episode, and join the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/Moms Who Know podcast.